Good morning, everybody. It's Jason with Clickbait and Coffee. We're going to let this thing get live. Give it a few seconds. Give me a 2 before in the chat if you can hear me. There's a few people in here this morning. Ground Fog was in here at 10:03 p.m. He jumped in like right after I set this thing up and saw it. So he's got his notifications on. Dana is here from Russell Homestead. Good morning, Dana. And Darren, Hacks for the Homesteaders here, and Greg Skeens. Greg, how's Mary Beth doing? I saw where she did her first round yesterday. She looked like she was in good spirits. So, all right, guys. It's Friday, February 6th. I can't believe it's already February. So, I've got a busy weekend. We've got so much crap to get done around here. We've got tonight we've got a birthday party. One of the kids, one of our first graders from school. She's doing pretty good. Good, Greg. One of our first graders from church that we've got on Wednesday night. It was his birthday. It was his birthday this week, and he gave us an invitation to come to his birthday party. So we're going to go to his birthday party tonight. He's having it at some I don't know, a trampoline park or something like that. So we're going to go to that and hang out and do that. I think it's cool that he was like, yes, I want to invite y'all. So we're going to go do that. We've got Patty, good morning. We've got our my youngest son is doing beta. We've got the engineering stuff where we're making a racetrack out of all these different pieces of things like cardboard tubes and cardboard and solo cups and all this kind of crap. Since the school's been out a bunch, we missed a couple practices. So I told my wife, I was like, just have all the kids come over here tomorrow, and we'll spend like 2 hours working and practicing and doing all that stuff. So we got all that fun stuff to do. Got a basketball game tomorrow, and then I think something else to do after that. So it's gonna be a big weekend, and hopefully today it's gonna be like 50 degrees today, and the snow and ice is hopefully gonna melt. If you're around and you got some of the snow and ice, put a 1 in the chat if you are tired of this ice and if you're ready for it to melt. I think everybody's ready for it to melt. I mean, I know like the other day, a bunch of it melted and then it froze back, and then it's like a solid sheet of ice. It is like stupid crazy how slick it is. Like my brother's driveway at his house, I went over there yesterday, and it is just a solid, I mean, like literally you could ice skate on that stuff. And Dana gave me a 1. She's ready for it. Like trash. And then another thing, like the trash truck hadn't been here in 2 weeks. And they're like, they sent out a message to my wife, and they're like, if we can make it up your driveway, we'll come get trash today. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to make it up my driveway. Because if you've ever been here, the driveway's narrow. There's trees on both sides. And it's like, boom, it's going to be just slipping and sliding and everything else. I was like, they're not coming today. So I'll probably take a couple bags of trash and throw them in at my brother's house today when I run down there. But Swackham's ready for it too, and Patty's ready to get all the stuff out. And then Swackham's here. Good morning. Uh-oh. Jake's here. Jake showed up. Jake must not be doing much today. So forgot to call you back yesterday. We're still at it. We're still at 11 tonight. Ooh, 11. That ain't no good. Then Dana said, my mail hasn't been delivered in almost 2 weeks. Missing tons of Amazon packages. Yeah, I ordered some Ziploc bags, some heavy meal Ziploc bags for a project I'm working on for some medical stuff. And it took over a week for me to get the packages. And I'm just like, when are these things going to come? I'm like, just leave them at the end of the driveway for all I care. But Dana, if you do it right, you can tell them, I hadn't got any bills for 2 weeks. So it's like, I don't have to pay the bills for a while. But yeah, the Amazon. And what irked me is I ordered some stuff before my wife. Her stuff came and mine didn't come until like 2 or 3 days later. And I just got the stuff the other day. I was like, this is not fun. Let me see. Jake says in Indiana, Monday we might get a little warm up here. Yeah, we're going to get, well, heck, I mean, I think next week we're supposed to be at like 60 or something. Yeah, next next Monday it's going to be 58, and Tuesday it's going to be 61. So this weather is just, I don't know, this weather is just stupid. So who knows what we're going to get. But yeah, a little thing we're working on. I needed some baggies, some heavy meal Ziploc bags. We are working on a new kit, and I will have it out pretty soon. And it is going to be for kids. It's going to be a cool little kid bag, a cool little kid pouch that we can they can put in their backpacks, they can keep in their lockers, stuff like that, and keep it at school. It's not got anything crazy where they can't keep it at school or anything like that. No sharp objects or anything, because I know how school is anymore. But we're working on that kid kit, and we got to come up with a cool little name for it, and and we'll figure it out. I've got some names to come up, and Shelly and I are going to sit down and talk about it this weekend. Let me see what Patty says. That don't work. No mail bills. Bills still need to be paid. Yeah. Somebody put that on Facebook or something like that. They're like, I hadn't got any mail for like a week. Does that mean that I don't have to pay my bills? And I started laughing. I was like, I want to say something about that. But all right. Hey, real quick, the pig processing class is March 21st. If you want to come to that, that is going to be fun. We're going to take a pig that will be alive in the morning, and it will be in VacMaster vacuum bags by the end of the day. And part of it's going to be sausage. Part of it's going to be starting to cure the bacon. We're going to show you everything start to finish on how to process your own pig at your place. People love that class. They wind up, they're like, we can do this. We know how to do it now. We've got confidence to do this. So that's going to be March 21st. If you want to come to it, get your spot. If two of you are coming, their tickets are $200 a piece. If there's going to be two of you coming, use the code KSLPIG. That'll save you $25 on both those, or it'll knock it from $400 to $375. So that, and then the radio class, we finally got it all scheduled out, is May 30th. Brian and Susan from S&B Homestead Radio are going to be up here, and they're going to be doing a ham radio class. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff with radios. We're going to do field setup antennas, expedited antennas to set that up, when to use HF or VHF or UHF, when to use the different frequencies. If I want to do this, I need to do this. Different types of radios, backup power supplies, off-grid power supplies. Like if you want to set up and do like parks on the air, we'll talk about power supplies, stuff like that. Whether you can run these things off 12-volt batteries, or if you need to run them off a solar generator, if you're going to run them off a plug-in power supply at your house, just all kinds of cool stuff. The sheep processing class, we're going to have to change the date on it. It was April 11th, but I've got to be out of town doing a job then. So we're going to change the date on it. I've got to talk to Shelly and see when we can do it. But we'll have the date changed pretty soon on that. So other than that, hey guys, go back. If you did not watch Shelly and I's live on Wednesday night, Dana was on here, and Dana did an amazing job. She knocked it out of the park. She was nervous as all get out, but she knocked it out of the park. And hopefully that thing is going to get a ton of views, because there was some good information in that. And it was funny. Her son Asher saw it and made a comment. He's like, "That's my mom. She's so good." And I was just dying laughing about that. And Dana texted me. It's like, "Hey, Asher saw that, and now he's hyping the video and stuff like that." I was like, "That's hilarious." So I had to laugh about that for sure. Pilgrim, good morning. And yes, happy Friday. I guess it's going to be happy. I'm doing some stuff at my brother's house. We're remodeling his master bathroom, and we're moving a bunch of stuff around and everything. And he wanted to move the toilet over and put it in its own little separate water closet. And I started looking, and I'm like, this door is not going to work. And I talked to my brother. I was like, as much as I hate it, I was like, I think we're going to have to do a pocket door. And if anybody knows me, I absolutely hate pocket doors. I will put pocket doors in, but I absolutely hate it. And I will fuss the whole time putting one in because I just despise putting in pocket doors. So today I'm going to go down to my brother's house and put a pocket door in for him and probably be mad and angry the whole time. So it's going to be a semi-happy Friday, I guess. So I don't know. We'll see. Like pocket doors are the bane of my existence. I just absolutely hate them. So, and let me see. Dana says he wants to be YouTube famous. I keep telling him it's not going to happen. All right, Dana, if he wants to talk to me. I mean, I will tell him I've been doing YouTube for, I don't know, three or 4 years now, and we're sitting at like 3,300 followers. So it's hard to be YouTube famous. So tell him to give me a call sometime, and I guess I'll pop his bubble. But now it is kind of funny. You will get people. You will get people that recognize you and talk to you and come up to you and be like, "Hey, I like your videos," all this kind of stuff, and just talking to you. And you're like, "Man, I have no idea who this is." So he could be semi YouTube famous, and it depends on what he's going to do. I mean, it depends on what he's going to do. I mean, you see all these. I don't know. Like there's some of these families that do their kids, and it's, I don't know. I think there's one XG family or something like that. My son watches a couple of these things, but it's like they're exploiting their kids, and they've got like 2 million followers or something like that, and they're just making like stupid amounts of money. And it's just, I mean, they're killing it on YouTube, making tons of money, but I'm just like, you're kind of exploiting your kids, just like that Ryan, whatever, that little Oriental kid, Ryan's Toys or whatever. Those parents made a buku of money off exploiting that kid on YouTube. But hey, whatever you want to do, I'm not going to exploit a kid. But Dana, if Asher wants to talk to me, tell him to give me a shout, and I'll talk to him about being YouTube famous. Oh, Patty just ordered ferment weights because the ones I've have never done more than sauerkraut. All right. My phone is blowing up about something. So, but yes, go back and watch that. That's an awesome video. Dana did a bang up job on it. Also, festival tickets. The festival tickets are on sale. If you want to get your ticket, get your tickets for this year's festival. It's going to be July 17th, 18th, and 19th in Bowling Green. Same place. We're never going to change it unless something crazy happens. But also, if you want a festival shirt, when you check out, you can get your festival shirts. You can get your festival shirts for 10% off. And then, speaking of the festival, I'm working on some new speakers coming. Brittany is going to be here with Mission Brit. Brittany is helping businesses with their social media, e-commerce, all that kind of stuff. Brittany has helped us a bunch with our website and doing promotions and stuff like that. Brittany is going to talk about how you can take and make money off of your homestead and make some money on it, because that's what a lot of people want to do. They're like, I want a homestead and I want to make some kind of profit off of this homestead and the stuff we're doing. So Brittany's going to talk about that, like some strategies, how you can do this stuff and everything like that. She's a wealth of knowledge. I'm excited about her. We might wind up getting Jessica, the combat midwife. I've been on her a little bit, and Brittany kind of leaned on her too the other day, was like, hey, why don't you come out? So we might get combat midwife to come out. She was supposed to come last time, but something messed up in the schedule. And then Crystal Crystal is Charmingly Frugal on TikTok. She's got a big following on TikTok. She also goes by Doomsday Queen on a few places. So we've been emailing back and forth. We're going to have a meeting, hope maybe this weekend, have a meeting and talk to her about coming out. She does a lot of cool homesteading and prepping stuff. So it might be cool. She might wind up coming out. We've got to kind of talk and finalize everything. So yes, we're going to have some fun speakers this time, and I'm excited about some of it, and I'm going to refresh and see. All right. we're going to talk about silver. I'm not going to talk too much about silver, but we're just going to like do a run and check real quick. Silver has absolutely taken a dump. It's down to 76, 71 right now. I don't know. Yes, they manipulate silver and do all this. I don't know what they're doing with it. But the thing is, and I said before, I was like, if it gets back down to $60 an ounce, I'm going to go ahead and buy some more. I mean, I bought in, and I think the most I paid was like $25 an ounce for it when I was still buying silver. But silver is just taking a dump. I mean, it's 76, 71. So kind of watch. Watch for what it's doing. It's going to be interesting to see. So we'll have to see. Who knows? There's still people that are saying it's going to blow up, and it might blow up. It might take a big dip and then shoot right back up past $121 or whatever it was an ounce. We'll kind of see. So, all right, topic of the morning. And I was sitting down and thinking about it, and sometimes I'll get ideas, and I'm like, that would make a good show. Let me see, Pilgrim. I bought 20 ounces at $90 each. Ooh. I mean, I don't think you're going to lose on it. It's going to bounce back up sometime. It's just, when it's going to. I mean, it's kind of like buying land. Yes, you can overpay for land, but eventually it's going to catch up. And I've always said, buying land, the only way you're going to lose on buying land, you can pay too much for the land, but eventually it'll come to what you paid for it. The only way you're going to lose on buying land is if you buy it and they got an Indian burial ground on it, or there's toxic waste on it somewhere. So that's the only way you can lose on that. Pilgrim says too, it will recover. Jake, I got in at 20 to 25 an ounce, but I'm not sure if I can do it at 100. Yeah, I was looking. I was like, I would like to buy some, but man, $100 an ounce is steep. It's steep for. I don't know if I do it or not, but it depends. So, all right. Topic for today. Like, I'll get something in my head and I'm thinking about it. And this one is, Newman, good morning. Thanks for jumping in. This was like, what would your family know what to do if you didn't come home tonight? And I was sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, damn, how good of a job have I done teaching my wife and my kids, and and then my brother too. My brother's going to be up here on what would happen if I didn't come home. And honestly, I was like, oh man, it hits you in your gut, and your guts just wrap up, and it's like, holy cow, have I done enough? So I was thinking about it. It's like, hey, if some, and this is not just, all right. Starting today, the question is going to be honesty. Most of us don't like thinking about it, and it's not, and I'm not talking about I'm not even talking just a grid down or food shortages or natural disaster. It's like, if you didn't come home tonight, what would your family know what to do? And I'm talking about the whole aspects of it, all the way from, everything's fine, we're living our best life and all this stuff, all the way down to, a grid down disaster, something like that. Would your family know what to do if you didn't come home tonight? Not someday, not after a week of trying to figure it out, but today. You've got to look at that. And Greg says, nope. Greg, we're going to have to do a little bit better. And I'm going to be flat out honest. There would be a lot of hiccups if something happened to me and I didn't come home today. Not just as far as everyday life, but a grid down thing too. I mean, you've got to look at it. It's preparedness. Wait. Greg New is on Facebook this morning. Morning, Greg. All right. Preparedness is really not, it's all right. Preparedness isn't just about surviving events. Sometimes it's about surviving absence of stuff, and this could be absence of people or absence of gear and supplies and food and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, most households have, that one person, you can call them the systems person, the guy or the person that takes care of He's the person that knows everything, knows how all the stuff works in the house, knows how the HVAC works, knows how the plumbing works, knows the management of the animals and what we're going to do with this and that kind of stuff. One person that understands how the house works. And I'm not talking about just I'm not talking about just all the mechanical stuff in the house. I'm talking about the financial stuff, the bills, all that stuff, the insurance, everything like that. And if that happens, it's like, ooh, what are we going to do? So think about that. I mean, this is something that I really thought about last night. I kind of laid in bed and made some notes and stuff like that and put some stuff on the screen too. And I was like, man, have I done a good enough job? Let me see. Newman says, my husband would know what to do. He managed everything while I was deployed. He is also much more handy than I am. Cindy Lou, good morning from Alabama. So, all right, the single point failure problem. Everybody's, every home has one. You've got the person, the man, or we're not going to say the man. We've got the person, one that pays the bills, knows all the passwords, knows how to run the generator, knows where the documents are, knows the medical supplies. They know where the water shutoff is. They know where the power shutoff is. They know the animal routines. They know the emergency plan, and everybody else is kind of like, hey, we're going to do what he says kind of thing. In our household, it's a little bit different. My wife does a lot of the bills and stuff like that. I take care of some of the bills and everything, but I don't know, she takes care of the trash bills. She takes care of all the insurance stuff and everything like that. Our insurance is our health insurance is through work or where she works, and then she takes care of the truck insurance and stuff like that. I mainly do. It's funny. I tell her a lot of times, it's like, I will handle everything on the outside of the house if you handle the stuff on the inside, as far as doing stuff like that. And she's like, that's fine. But you've really got to sit back and look at it and be like, hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. And look at some of this stuff. You don't need just that one point, that single point failure system. So, let me see. Oh, whoops. Travis, good morning. No, family only knows instant gratification. The family was destroyed 2 generations ago. Yeah, I agree with you. The family was destroyed 2 generations ago. That's for darn sure. Cuck's here. Good morning, man. So, all right, let's make it, let's make it real kind of deal. We're not just going to talk zombie apocalypse things. A lot of people want to talk just zombie stuff. We're not going to we'll touch in that if we want to, but you don't come home from work. There's a lot of different scenarios that go on. Maybe you've got a car accident. You got to stay at the hospital. Your phone dies. They don't know where you're at. Stuck somewhere overnight, kind of thing. With the the way the weather's been, it might be something you get stuck for a couple nights somewhere. It's slick. You can't get home. Travel delays, injury on the property. Good morning, Brittany. Brittany, you're not bothering me at all. I will text you when I get off here, ma'am. We were just talking about you and talking about how you were going to be one of our awesome speakers at the festival. So people are going to be excited. I'm excited to sit down and listen to Brittany. Brittany and I talk probably, well, heck, we've been talking once a week here lately. So, but all right. So you got injured on the property, something like that. So then your spouse doesn't know what to do. Which breaker turns on the well pump, stuff like that. Where the medical kits are at, how to start the generator. I've said that. Can your wife or your husband go out and start the generator if you have a power failure? These are things that you've got to look at. How to, what rotation are we doing? The animals, who gets what feed per day? Do the animals get this, or are we going to do this? Where's the cash kept? If you keep cash, which I really advocate people keep cash in their house, where's the cash at? Where do we pay? When's the electric bill due? stuff like that. When's the trash due? And all this kind of stuff. You know, your kids don't know. They're like, who do we call? Where do we go? What's serious versus normal? So what happens? They're just like, they freeze, and they just don't really know what to do. So they freeze. They don't know. They're incapable of doing stuff. It's like, how do we shut off? How do we shut off or how do we turn the power off for this? How do we turn this off? You know, how do we turn the water off to the house if there's a leak? You know, what do we do? How do we change the furnace filters? Do we know what size furnace filters we have? Where are the furnace filters located? How often do we need to change those? The sump pump or the condensation pump on the air conditioner is flooding out. It's like, hey, what do we do with this? Do we have another condensation pump? How do I change it out? You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, we do some stuff like, I mean, we had small little things like when all this ice was, when there's a bunch more ice here than there was, the furnace stopped working. And so I was like, hey, let me go take a look at it. I noticed it's getting kind of cool in the house. I went out, took a look at it. The inlet for fresh air had gotten stopped up with a little bit of snow and stuff. So I went out there and literally just tapped it with a hammer, and a bunch of snow fell out. And then I took a shovel and scooped out to where the snow and the ice weren't so high. I had to do that a couple times. I was the guy that fixed that. If I wouldn't have been home, I don't know. My wife would have had to call somebody, call my HVAC guy, get him out here and look at it. And it, you know, it's essentially a 5-minute task would have been a $200 or $300 service call. So that's the stuff that you ought to be working together and cross training everything on. It's like Mike Adkins that writes books. Mike's book ought to be out pretty soon. I'm supposed to be getting one of the first copies. But Mike Adkins that teaches land nav and does that. Mike was a Green Beret. Mike and I talked about medical stuff and everything. He was like, we had our medic in our unit, but I cross-trained with the medic and everything. He was like, I would go in and train with him, and the medic would teach me all this medical stuff. He said, I was not to that level of a medic, of an 18 Delta. He was like, but I learned a whole lot of stuff. He said, so usually what would happen if two people were injured, the medic would take the more serious person. He said, I would do the less serious stuff, but we cross-trained. So I knew a lot of stuff. So it's cross-training in there and showing, you know, your significant other and your kids on all this other stuff. Take your kids with you. When I'm, you know, when you're putting in a new condensation pump in the basement, grab your kids and be like, hey guys, this is the way we do this. If it goes out, this is how to fix it. So that's one of the things. Let's see. Greg says, Desiree helps on the farm and I help with the house chores. That way she has time to see processes, and I appreciate the effort needed in housekeeping. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah. And she still does the bills though. Yeah. Stephanie, good morning. How are you? Have you thawed out in Jackson yet? I hope you have. And Swackham. Yeah, I've been looking for Mike's newest book on a nearly weekly basis. Hey, I have to. I figure Mike and I did a little bit of trading at the land nav thing, and I'm like, hey, as soon as the book comes out, I was like, I want you to send me a copy. And he was like, deal. So I'm waiting for my copy too. I'll probably text Mike after the live and be like, hey, bud, is the book about ready? When we talked last time, he said it was in like the final stages of whatever, proofreading and stuff like that. I don't know that that's the right term, but going through all of it. And he said once it got through that, it would print. And he said it's really stinking fast to get those things printed out and everything. So hopefully I will have one pretty soon. And hopefully everybody else will have one pretty soon. We still have some ice, but pretty well thawed. Good. Stephanie, we're going to get most of our thaw today because it's going to be almost 50 today. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm excited. So, all right. You need pretty much a continuity plan. The government has continuity plan. It's continuity of government, but remember too, it's not continuity of people, you know, or civilians. It's continuity of government, but you need some kind of continuity plan on it. your home should be able to go ahead and function if you're not there for 72 hours. And if you look at a lot of these prepper fiction books, especially like Going Home from Angry American Chris, uh, all these people, it's like the guy was out on the other side of the state, an EMP hit, and he had to walk home. And it talks about how he's worried, about how his wife and kids and stuff like that are doing to where, he can get home. And a lot of these books do that stuff. It's like, hey, something tragic happens and the man is away from the house and he's got to get home. So you kind of got to look at that. We've got to look and see how we can do this. Oh, next week highs, upper 30s, lows 40s. Oh, could be. I'm still glad I'm not up there with you, man. There's information that everybody in your family should know. And it's not like super critical stuff. Like you need to know the address. I mean, I hope every adult that lives at the house knows the address. I mean, if you're ordering stuff off Amazon, you got to know it at least once to put it where you can get it delivered from Amazon. But kids especially need to know your address, where they live. They need to know phone numbers. And, at least 2 emergency contacts. They need to know both their parents' phone numbers. Or if you're a single parent, they need to know your phone number and maybe, one of their grandparents' phone numbers or aunt or whatever like that. Jennifer, good morning. Middle Tennessee. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it a bunch. And she is on Facebook. Stick around. We're talking about all kinds of fun stuff. But thank you, Jennifer. All right. 2 emergency contacts. Everybody needs to know where the flashlights are. I've got flashlights and lanterns, and I absolutely love the little, I think they're the Energizer brand. They're rechargeable and they're small. They're smaller than like a Arctic cup. They're little rechargeable lanterns. I have those things stashed everywhere in the house. Like I've got one in one of the hallways. We've got like the linen closet. There's like 2 or 3 in there that are stashed. I've got a couple in the master bathroom. There's a linen closet in there. Got those stashed. I've got a bunch down in the basement. Heck, I've got one sitting on the shelf over in front of me. But where the flashlights are, you need to know that. Everybody now grabs their cell phone and hits the little button for their flashlight. I'm bad about doing it. I do it sometimes. But everybody needs to know flashlights or some kind of lighting source to where you can get around in the house if the power does go out. Everybody needs to know where the medical supplies are. We talked about that the other day of having a medical plan. Don't just have a kit sitting around with no plan on how to use that. And also, hey, by the way, after that, did people go and look about where to put kits and come up with some kind of medical plan? If you thought about the medical plan after I did that show, put a 1 in the chat, because I would like to know who actually put foot to butt and did some stuff on that. So if you did, let me know. But everybody needs to know where the medical supplies are at. Everybody needs to know how to call for help. If you've got your kids, if something major happens, your kids need to know how to call for help and how to call, who to call. Are we going to call 911? Don't call 911 for something silly. If it's a major emergency, call 911. How to get help. Everybody needs to know how to lock the house. You got to look at that. How to lock the house down and how to lock, not just go to bed and be like, oh, the garage door's open. We're just going to bed. Don't worry about it. I'm bad sometimes. I have many times gone to bed and left the garage door open, but luckily nobody's came up to the house. Dana's working on it. And 60 old man. And if you're not there, they need to know how to charge the flashlights up with a solar panel. Yes, exactly. And I will tell you, I am not 100% on this. I need to sit down and come up with some stuff. And, show my wife, show the kids, stuff like that. And just spend some time getting them going on stuff like that. Like, I'll tell you, my wife is the one that changes the furnace filter. She'll tell me in the morning, she's like, we're out of furnace filters. Go ahead and pick some up when you're at Lowe's. And I'm like, okay. So I'll bring them in. She changes them out. So she does a bunch of stuff like that. And then your household systems. And I've talked about this too, of having a book of household systems. You need to walk your family through stuff. The breaker panel. You need to go in there, show them what to do. Like, we have a manual transfer switch on our house for a generator. I need to take my wife and show her exactly how to do the manual transfer switch and what circuits and what's going to work when we're running the generator. We're not running everything in the house off the generator. I just didn't buy a big enough generator, didn't want to run the whole house on that, just because you're going to need a massive generator, and you're just burning more fuel. But walk everybody in your family through the breaker box. If you have multiple breaker boxes, walk them through both the breaker boxes. We've got a sub panel in the basement that feeds all the basement. So go down there, show them that. Show them that stuff. The water shutoff. Show where to shut the water off for the house. If you have a leak in your house, that is one of the easiest, fastest things to fix, is just shut the water off, and then it's not going to do anything else. Generator startup. I think everybody needs to go out, show them how to start the generator up. And what you can do, you can work this into your monthly stuff or your every other month stuff. You need to be starting your generators and running those things and everything. So take your wife out, take your husband out, take your kids out and be like, hey, we're going to pull the generators out. We're going to start them up, make sure they're fine, show them how to check the oil, make all that stuff. Show them how to plug extension cords and stuff like that into the generator and do that. Your backup heat. Show them how to run the backup heat. Everybody should be, and I would assume that if you've got a wood stove and you're using a wood stove all the time, everybody in the house knows how to use the wood stove. But if you've got a propane heater as a backup heater, everybody needs to know how to light that propane heater. If you've got a little buddy heater you're going to use, everybody needs to know how to hook the propane tank to it, light it, and do that. And then one of the super important things, if we're going to be doing stuff like this, is fire extinguishers. Everybody needs to know where the fire extinguishers are at and how to use the fire extinguisher. I know a kid would love, to pull a fire extinguisher out. I don't know any boy that wouldn't have fun if you started a small little fire out back and it's like, hey, we're going to show you how to use the fire extinguisher. They would be ecstatic. I know my son would be like, let's do it. Let's do another fire. Let's put another fire out. So fire extinguisher. I mean, you're not teaching perfection on this. They just need to know how to be functional on some of this stuff, and you're preventing paralysis and not knowing how to do the stuff. Let's see. Stephanie said, my son knows where the flashlights and medical supplies are, working on using it. All right, that works. Hey, as long as he knows where it's at, and then you can start working up on how to do it. Let me see. Dana says, y'all need to organize a workshop for preparing our children. Let me write that down. That's an awesome idea. We might do that. Hey, I've always wanted to do, me and somebody were talking, it's like, and it's bad. A lot of these kids are growing up, without dads. Like, I grew up with an amazing father. He taught me tons and tons of stuff. Like, I would not be in the building trades and stuff like that and know near as much as I know now if it wasn't for my dad. But these kids are growing up without dads and male role models. I'm like, and they don't know the stuff that men should know. And I'm not getting on this high horse of, masculinity and everything. I think you could do this for women and girls also. But I'm like, we should get a bunch of these guys that are manly men that know how to do stuff. They know how to fix crap. They know how to hunt. They know how to shoot guns. They know how to tie a tie. They know how to, do all this stuff. And we ought to do like a weekend for these kids and show them how to do stuff. Show them how to change a tire. Show them how to jump start a car, stuff like that. How to, some of you, I was going to say, how to put in a new breaker or something like that, or how to put in a light switch, how to build a stinking doghouse for your dog, stuff like that. I wanted to do that. And it's just like, I just run out of time. But Dana, that organized workshop, prepping our children, I'm going to work on that because I think that would be amazing. It could be your wife. She lets you know when there's one furnace filter left, so you never run out. Well, when I do it, when she tells me we need furnace filters, I go by because all our furnace filters are the same size. I told my cousin when he's doing HVAC, I was like, I want the furnace filters all the same size. So typically I run out and just buy like 10 or 15 at a time. And I just run to the HVAC place, grab 10 or 15 at a time, and just roll with it. Let me see. And Jennifer says, a little addition on the phone numbers, actually write down the numbers on a piece of paper. We're so programmed to use our contact list on our phones or Siri. Technology has replaced our memory capacity. Yes. And that is crazy. If you look at it, like I can still remember my parents' phone number from when we were a kid, you know, the house line and everything. I can remember it. I can remember the house line I used to have 20 years ago at another house when I still had a landline. But yes, write those numbers down. It would be really good if you took like your major numbers that you're going to call and put them on like a business card size piece of paper and laminated it and stuck it in your wallet. That would be an amazing idea. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Then Darren says, that's a great idea. I wish I did more with my 5 kids. They call me when they need info or how to do something. Yeah. And that was the amazing thing. I would call my dad all the time and ask him, be like, hey, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And I would have questions with him all the time. And the way our kids become friends and the next generations get to know each other. Yeah, exactly. Greg, I knew you would be in. Greg could teach all kinds of stuff. And Stephanie loves the idea. And Darren. Hey, we need to get Darren. I tell you what, Greg knew, and Darren would be 2 amazing people to teach that. So, and I have full faith that both those men could do some amazing stuff with the kids. So let me sit down and brainstorm it, and we will get something going for that, like a workshop. I think the kids would absolutely love that. So, all right, we've got, you know, and also like, and I've said it before on some of the videos before, like I took a big binder and did a bunch of stuff for that. My wife knows where the binder is at, and you can look at it. And I went in and I took like a picture. I took the lid off I opened the lid on a propane tank, took a picture with my phone, came in and printed it out, full color, 8.5 by 11, and circled things. I circled like the gauge where you read what percentage it's on, and I like drew an arrow, and it's like this is the gauge to tell how much propane is in the tank, and then circled the shutoff valve, circled it, and it's like shutoff valve for propane. Did the same thing where our water comes in to the basement, where it comes in. We've got a couple different valves where you can turn different things off, and it circled it, and it's like main water shut off, and then circled the other one. This will shut the water off into the house. Did a bunch of stuff like that, and just have it to where you can go down there and flip through there. I need to do better. I'm not going to lie. We need to take time and do that. I think everybody needs to do some of this cross pollination of showing everybody how to do stuff. I have no doubt, like with the animals, my wife can move the animals around and feed those guys and everything else. Like that's not a problem. She'll just have to, you know, I know essentially how long it takes them, you know, if we're feeding hay, I know how long it'll take them to eat through a bale of hay, stuff like that, and everything. But she would have to monitor a little bit more and stuff like that. All right, Greg, I'm going to, truth in advertising, I cannot, I would suffer through it. I could probably get a tie tied. I suck at it. I don't wear a tie. I don't even own a suit, guys. Like I think I've owned one suit in my life, and that was when I was young, real young. But wearing a tie, I can't remember the last time I wore a tie. And I'll tell you, the last time I wore a tie, I didn't undo it. I kept it. I just loosened it up and pulled it over my neck. And I was like, if I have to wear a tie again, I was like, I'm going to wear this one because it's tied. So I suck at tying a tie. I might have to get next time Greg's up here, pull a tie out and be like, Greg, can you teach me to tie the tie efficiently? So, all right. You ought to have some kind of 24-hour plan for stuff. You know, if I don't come home, step one is we wait X amount of hours. for you to get home. Step 2, we call X person. Step 3, we do X action. So you've got a clear path on what to do. Everybody's not just freezing. Well, should we wait? Should we wait for dad to get home for, 2 hours, or should we wait 24 hours? Should we call Uncle Billy or whatever, that kind of thing. Write it down, not super complicated stuff. I mean, pictures, they always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yes, I could write out half a page on how to turn the propane off, or write out half a page how to turn the water off. But if I take a stinking picture and label it and put it in a binder, anybody can go down there. A 10-year-old could go down there and look at it, hold the paper up and be like, oh, it's that valve. That's the one I turned to turn the water off. People don't remember. You're not going to sit down there and read a whole thing. My 10-year-old's certainly not going to read it, but he'll look at a picture and be like, that's the valve I need to turn off the water so the basement stops flooding. That kind of stuff. All right. Why this matters more than the prepping part of it. A lot of preparation focuses on rare events. This can happen every day. Every day somebody could not come home. I mean, we go out, we do our jobs, we do this kind of stuff every day. We don't know when it's going to be our last day, or when it's going to be, 2 or 3 days before we get home, that kind of stuff. I'm gone every now and then, a couple of days at a time doing stuff. Everything runs pretty good. You're not really planning for your death. You're planning for a temporary absence kind of thing. When you're planning for your death, that's going to take a lot more stuff. That's going to be, real, estate planning, all that kind of stuff. We're not getting into that. We're talking about if you're not going to make it home for a couple of days. But if you look at it in an emergency event, it might be longer before you can get home. Realities of stuff, especially like on a homestead, the animals still need to get fed. If I don't make it home in a day, the sheep still need to get fed, the pigs need to get fed, the dogs need to get fed, that kind of stuff. They need to be moved around and everything. They need to be watered. My wife knows how to run all the water for the animals and everything. She did freak out a while back because she went down there, and apparently on one of the frost-proof hydrants, there was a black snake curled around it. And she was like, I didn't water the animals today because there was a snake down there and I was going to wait for you to do it. And I was like, that's fine, whatever. And even weather still happens. So you got to kind of look at that. All that stuff. There's certain things that can. Carter Lee, good morning. I hope you're doing good. So simple test. Simple test. Here, let me see. Yeah. Carter Lee, I hope you're doing good. Then Darren says, I have a lot of skills from my dad and my grandpa, plus the time spent with them was the best. Yeah, exactly. 100%. I miss getting to hang out with my dad and ask him all kinds of questions. All right. Some thoughts on this. If you didn't come home tonight, would your family be scared, or would it just be an inconvenience? And Carter Lee said she's frozen in Florida. We're frozen here right now. But would your family be scared, or would it just be a small inconvenience? Not that they don't miss you, but it's just like, if I didn't come home tonight, my wife would be like, well, I've got to water the animals and I've got to go down there and check on them. It would be an inconvenience. My son would have to do some other stuff, but, it's not, preparedness is not turning fear into inconvenience. It's like, and the thing is, like, let's take 20 minutes this week. Show your family, write it down, walk them through it, stuff like that. And you can do it little bits at a time. Don't come in, Bill, good morning. Don't come in with a chest rig or a plate carrier on and your rifle slung on your back and you're like, we're going to tackle this weekend and show you everything about how to be prepared. And if I don't come home and it's going to be 3 months before I get home because I've got to walk all the way across Alabama to get home, y'all are going to learn how to fortify the house and shoot zombies and all this stuff. It's like, hey, grab your kids or grab your wife and be like, hey, I'm gonna go down and work on or do something with the condensation pump. Show you about it. Let's do that. Or hey, bud, we need to change the furnace filters. Come help Dad change the furnace filters. Or just small stuff. Or hey, it's time to start the generator. Let's go out and start the generator, and I'll show you some stuff on it. make it kind of fun. I mean, or let's build a fire in the fire pit, show you how to use the fire extinguisher. Do it in little bitty chunks. And you could do it literally to go out and start the generator. You could spend 30 minutes doing that, showing your wife how to start the generator, that kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, honey, we're going to plug the generator in and run some loads on it. And do this. Explain to them why. Have some fun. Maybe leave the kids inside, then you can hang out with your wife for a few minutes, just starting the generator and sitting down there talking to her while the generator hums in the distance. And it's like, there's no kids yelling and screaming. Maybe it'll be fun for you. But that's some of the stuff. It's like, do this, go through, take the kids down in the basement or wherever you keep all your storage stuff. Go down through there. I absolutely love filing cabinets. I buy filing cabinets when I can find them, like surplus auctions. And we were buying them for like $5 or $7 a piece. I've got file cabinets in one of the rooms, and I just took blue painter's tape and put a piece of blue painter's tape and wrote on there what it was, like alcohol and hydrogen peroxide. Wrote it on there. That's the drawer where alcohol and hydrogen peroxide are at. You know, another thing, it's like Band-Aids and gauze are in this drawer. So you open it up, there's Band-Aids, gauze, all that stuff. Batteries, you know, you got a drawer for your batteries. It's all labeled. Go down there and take, like my wife knows, you know, where the stuff's at down there. Go down there and take your kids. Show them, be like, hey, dude, if you need something, you just come down here and you read what you need. If you need batteries for the remote, come down here, open it up, grab 2 AA batteries for the remote and take them up there and fix the remote. Do that. If you need notebooks, I am a notebook and pencil person. I wait every time the kids go back to school. If you wait till school starts, they will sell the notebooks and pencils and all this stuff for next to nothing. So I usually go in there and buy, 20 or 30 notebooks, and I use notebooks all the time, sitting at the desk, writing notes and everything else, but I'll use tons of them. I'll buy them dirt cheap. So there's drawers with notebooks, pencils, pens, crayons, all that kind of stuff that you buy for like pennies on the dollar. And I told my youngest son, I'm like, if you need a pen, if you need a notebook, go down there on the notebook drawer and grab a notebook. Take and show everybody that kind of stuff. Patty says, my dad said marry someone who can do that stuff so he didn't have to teach us girls. That's funny. And Bill says on the fire extinguisher, pass. Fire extinguisher use, pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Yeah. So, hey, that's what, sit down and think about it. If you didn't come home tonight, how would your family function? What would you do? And the biggest takeaway is cross-train everybody in your house. I'm not saying they're going to have to be 100% on this, but small things everybody in the house should be able to do. Honestly, my wife has told me before, she was like, if something ever happens to me, here is my book. And it's got everything written down in it as far as like our life insurance, her retirement, anything like that, for her job and all this stuff. She was like, and all the passwords for all these different accounts, 401k, all this stuff. She was like, it's all in this book. If something happens to me and I die, she was like, you just need this book. And and then there's phone numbers to call where she works to take care of all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. So one of the things I need to sit down with my wife is, all these jobs and who owes who money and stuff like that. It'd be like, hey, we need to sit down and do this. But sit down with your spouse, sit down with your children and show them stuff to where you're not just the guy. And Cindy, find a bike to get home faster. Yeah. I don't like being too far from home. I hate where I can't just walk to the house or something like that. But a bike would be cool. I thought about buying one of those little fold up bikes that you can just keep in like the toolbox. Would be pretty neat. But yeah, it's cool to be the guy. Okay, when something breaks, you're the guy to fix it. But it's also cool is if you've got somebody that can help you fix it. I am horrible about not asking for help on stuff, but maybe I should ask, my wife or my kids to help me a little bit more, because a lot of times it's like, all right, I'll just go fix it. I know how to fix all the stuff. It's going to be faster, but maybe you should spend a little bit longer time and show your significant other or your kids. It's like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. Well, I tell you, the other day, the sheep, for some reason, they've got their winter coat and the charger's not super, super hot on one part of the fence. And they were just walking through this high tensile fence. So I was like, hey, let's do it. And the other part of the fence, the net fence, they will not touch it. So I was like, hey, let's just stick some net fence up and do it that way. So I got my son to come out. He was helping me do the net fence, and I was showing him how to do it and everything like that. And he's like, this is fun. So now the kid knows how to put up net fence. And I'm like, cool. Now maybe he can move the net fence for me when I need it moved. Swackham says, I got to the point I don't want to go anywhere where a tank of gas won't get me home. Hey, I'm the same way sometimes. I don't like being gone too awful far from the house. Sometimes I've got to, and I don't really enjoy it, but sometimes we got to suck it up and do it. But I stay pretty close to the house most of the time. And that's a case where an e-bike would be useful to carry in your vehicle. Hey, I've talked to some e-bike companies about sponsoring the festival and got it on the preparedness route. And they're like, y'all are just not our ideal demographic. And I'm like, man, I was like, I guarantee if you sent me one, I could probably sell some. So, but it is what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to go do something that I hate doing, and that is putting in a pocket door today. At least it's for my brother. So I'm going to go work on that. I've got a few orders to ship out, and I've got some meetings too. My phone has been blowing up, so I've got to do some stuff like that. Cattle can smell electricity. They know when the fence isn't working. I've heard that before. So, but guys, I appreciate you being here. I'll be back on Tuesday morning. We'll have another awesome topic, but I want to know when y'all come back, you've got the weekend. Tell me what you did to help if you don't come home at night, and how you can help your significant other and your kids, how they won't freak out. Teach them. Take 20 minutes and talk to them about it this weekend. I mean, you've got all weekend to do it. I want to know what people are going to do and what y'all have done on Tuesday. So I'm going to ask you. But guys, I appreciate it. Y'all have an amazing weekend, and stay safe. Hopefully all the ice will melt, and then we'll just be a mucky mess without ice. And Jennifer, thank you. All right, guys, I appreciate it, and I will see y'all Tuesday morning. Have a great weekend. Bye.